Greetings, survivors. Today we delve into the grim yet crucial topic, preparing for the apocalypse. I'm sure some of you are skeptical, wondering, apocalypse? Really? But let's clear the air. This isn't just about zombies or meteor strikes. It's about being ready for any severe, life-changing event. From natural disasters and pandemics to societal collapse. In this going to guide you through the steps to transform into a genuine survivalist. We'll start by assessing potential threats and understanding the risks specific to your location. Following that, we'll dive into crafting a comprehensive survival plan, amassing essential supplies, and erecting a safe shelter. We'll further touch upon the basics of self-defense and security, and the significance of being informed and adaptable. So, brace yourselves as we tread on this daunting path to become ultimate survivalists. Because it's always wise to be prepared and not need it than to need it and not be prepared. The first step to preparation is understanding what we're preparing for. We live in an unpredictable world where threats can take many forms. Natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes can strike without warning. Pandemics, as we've seen, can bring the world to a standstill. Then there are man-made threats such as nuclear fallout or societal collapse. Scenarios that seem straight out of a dystopian novel, but are, unfortunately, possibilities we can't entirely rule out. It's essential to understand the specific risks in your area. Are you in a hurricane-prone region or maybe an area with a high risk of wildfires? Perhaps you're situated near a nuclear power plant. Knowing these specifics can help you tailor your preparation efforts accordingly. But how do you gather this information? Research, my friends. Delve into historical data. There's a wealth of it out there. Look at the types of disasters that have affected your area in the past. These events can provide valuable insights into what you might face in the future. And don't just stop at the past. Look at future predictions too. Climate change, for instance, is expected to intensify certain types of natural disasters in many regions. However, it's not just about understanding the threats out there. It's also about maintaining situational awareness, being aware of your surroundings, keeping an eye on the news, and staying updated with the latest developments. This is especially important in fast-evolving situations like pandemics or civil unrest. You see, assessing potential threats isn't about scaring yourself into a state of constant paranoia. It's about equipping yourself with the knowledge to make informed decisions. It's about understanding that these threats, while scary, can be mitigated with the right preparation. So, arm yourself with information. Understand the threats that are specific to your location. Research the past, ponder the future, and always stay alert to the present. Remember, knowledge is power. The more aware you are, the better prepared you'll be. Now that we've identified potential threats, it's time to craft our survival plan. Remember, in a crisis, your best weapon is your mind, and having a detailed plan is like having an extra set of hands ready to help you out. First off, your survival plan should include evacuation routes. It's not just about knowing how to get out of your home, but it's also about knowing the best ways to get out of your town or city. Consider all possible scenarios and choose the safest, quickest routes. Next, identify meeting points. If a disaster strikes and your family gets separated, where will you all convene? It could be a local landmark, a relative's house, or even a specific geographical feature, like a hill or a river. Then, let's talk about communication strategies. In an emergency, traditional communication networks may fail. Think about alternative ways to communicate with your family or emergency services. This could be through satellite phones, emergency radios, or even simple hand signals. Also, it's crucial to have an emergency contact list. Include numbers of local emergency services, nearby hospitals, and out-of-town relatives who can help if local resources are strained. Don't forget to have a physical copy of this list, as digital devices might not always be accessible. Finally, practice makes perfect. You wouldn't step on a stage without rehearsing your lines, would you? The same goes for your survival plan. Practice evacuation drills with your family members regularly. Make sure everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. Remember, the goal here is not to predict the future or to anticipate every possible scenario. It's about being as prepared as possible so that you can adapt to whatever comes your way. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow, so start planning now. Your future self will thank you for it. Next up, we're going to discuss the essentials: food, water, medical supplies, tools, and clothing. When it comes to food, focus on items with a long shelf life. Think canned goods, dehydrated meals, and meals ready to eat, or MREs. These items can be stored for years and still retain their nutritional value. Aim to have at least a 3-month supply for each person in your household. Don't forget to rotate your stock to keep it fresh. Water is just as crucial, if not more so. The average person needs at least 1 gallon of water per day for drinking and sanitation. You can store bottled water, but it's also wise to invest in water purification systems. This could be as simple as a life straw or as complex as a rainwater collection and filtration system. Next, let's talk about medical supplies. A well-stocked first aid kit is a must. This should include bandages, antiseptics, and over-the-counter pain relievers. If anyone in your group has a chronic condition, make sure to stockpile essential medications and learn how to store them properly. Tools and equipment are another key component of your survival stockpile. A good multi-tool, a reliable knife, fire starters, and flashlights should be at the top of your list. For water purification, consider adding filters or tablets to your kit. Cooking gear, such as a portable stove and fuel, as well as basic pots and pans, are also essential. Lastly, don't forget about clothing and personal items. Depending on your climate, you'll need layers of clothing that can keep you warm or lightweight, breathable clothing for hotter regions. Waterproof gear is always a good idea, no matter where you live. As for personal items, consider soap, toothpaste, and other hygiene products. These can go a long way in making a tough situation a bit more comfortable. Remember, the goal isn't to cram as much as you can into a closet and call it a day. It's about thoughtful, strategic planning. Consider the needs of each person in your group, the space you have available for storage, and the potential scenarios you're preparing for. The key to successful stockpiling is organization. Keep an inventory of what you have, where it's stored, and when it expires. This will help you keep track of your supplies, rotate them effectively, and replenish them as needed. Also, remember to store your supplies in a cool, dry place. Heat and moisture can degrade food and medical supplies and can damage equipment. Keep food in airtight containers to prevent pests, and store water in sturdy containers away from chemicals and strong odors. In closing, stockpiling is an art. It requires foresight, planning, and regular maintenance. But when the chips are down, you'll be thankful for the time and effort you put into it. Remember, it's not hoarding if it's for the apocalypse. A safe haven is key to survival. Let's discuss how selecting the right location for your shelter can tip the scales in your favor. You'll need to evaluate potential sites, taking into account their proximity to resources like water, food, and firewood. But remember, a perfect spot isn't just about resources. You must consider the site's defensibility. Is it easily accessible to potential threats, or can it be concealed and protected? Additionally, factors such as climate, population density, and terrain should inform your decision. A remote, temperate area with a low population density is often a good choice. Now, onto the kind of shelter you might be looking to establish. You've got a few options here. There are underground bunkers, fortified homes, or bug-out locations. Each has its own set of pros and cons. Underground bunkers, for instance, offer excellent protection and concealment, but can be expensive and complex to construct. Fortified homes offer the convenience of living in a traditional house with added security features. Bug-out locations are often remote cabins or homes that can be reached quickly in an emergency. If you're caught in an unexpected situation, knowing how to construct a basic emergency shelter can be a lifesaver. This could be as simple as a lean-to made from branches or a snow cave if you're in a winter environment. The key is to use what's available to protect yourself from the elements. Once you've got your shelter, you'll want to strengthen it. Fortifications can range from reinforcing doors and windows to setting up defensive measures like barriers and alarms. For doors and windows, consider adding additional locks or bars for extra security. If your shelter is in a remote location, using natural elements like trees and rocks can provide camouflage, helping to keep your shelter hidden from view. In terms of defense mechanisms, think about setting up barriers around the perimeter of your shelter, and invest in an alarm system to alert you to any potential threats. Remember, a shelter's not just a roof over your head, it's your fortress, your refuge, your command center in a world gone mad. So treat it with the importance it deserves. Spend time planning, building, and fortifying. It's not just about surviving the apocalypse, it's about thriving in it. A sturdy shelter can be the difference between life and death. Make sure yours is up to par. In a post-apocalyptic world, security is paramount. Let's talk about self-defense and securing your perimeter. Firstly, let's dive into the basics of self-defense. It's crucial to have some form of training, whether that's martial arts or firearms proficiency. Martial arts can empower you with the skills to defend yourself without weapons, while firearms proficiency can be a game changer in dire situations. But remember, it's not about going full Rambo, it's about protecting yourself and your loved ones. There are also non-lethal alternatives to consider, like pepper spray, which can incapacitate an attacker without causing permanent harm. Now let's talk about securing your perimeter. This means creating a physical barrier between you and potential threats. Fencing can be a formidable deterrent, but it's not just about a high fence. It's about making it difficult for anyone or anything to breach your sanctuary undetected. Alarm systems can provide an early warning, buying you precious time to respond. Tripwires and motion sensors can alert you to any intrusion, giving you the upper hand. But there's another security measure that's been used for thousands of years: guard animals. Dogs are a popular choice, and for good reason. They're protective, alert, and their sense of smell and hearing are far superior to ours. They can detect an intruder long before we can. And if you want to go old school, geese have been known to make excellent guard animals. Their honking can alert you to any unusual activity, and they're surprisingly territorial. Moving on to community defense. In a post-apocalyptic world, there's strength in numbers. Forming alliances with trusted neighbors can create a mutual aid system that benefits everyone involved. You could set up a neighborhood watch program where everyone takes turns keeping an eye out for potential threats. This not only increases your security, but also fosters a sense of community and cooperation. Planning coordinated defense strategies can mean the difference between surviving or succumbing to threats. The key to all of this is preparation and practice. Train regularly, maintain your equipment, and rehearse your defense strategies. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel when faced with a real threat. Remember, a secure perimeter is your first line of defense. It's not about living in fear. It's about living with a sense of security and peace of mind, because in a world where everything has changed, your safety and the safety of your loved ones are what matters most. So when it comes to self-defense and security, don't just think about it. Be proactive. Start planning, start preparing, and start practicing. Equip yourself with the knowledge, skills, and tools to protect what you hold dear. Remember, the best defense is a good offense. Stay vigilant, stay safe. The only constant in life is change. The same goes for the apocalypse. So it's crucial to stay informed and adaptable, even when preparing for the world's end. One way to stay informed is by using emergency radios and other communication devices. In a world where conventional communication channels may be compromised, these tools can be lifesavers. They allow you to receive critical updates about the situation at hand, whether it's a weather alert or a message from local authorities. But staying informed doesn't just involve listening to broadcasts. It also means actively seeking knowledge. Read books about survival. Attend workshops to learn new skills. Engage in online forums with like-minded individuals. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be. Now let's talk about adaptability. It's not enough to have a plan. You must also be prepared to ditch that plan and come up with a new one on the fly. This is because the circumstances in an apocalyptic scenario can change rapidly. One moment you might be safe in your shelter, the next you might need to evacuate. To develop adaptability, try to prepare for different scenarios and contingencies. What if your primary shelter becomes compromised? Do you have a backup? What if your food supply runs out? Do you know how to forage? By considering these questions, you're already training your mind to be more adaptable. In addition to mental adaptability, physical resilience is also a must. This means keeping your body in good shape. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and enough sleep can greatly increase your chances of survival. Remember, a healthy body is a resilient body. Finally, let's discuss essential survival skills. First on the list is fire making. Whether it's a flint and steel or a bow drill, knowing how to start a fire can mean the difference between life and death. Not only does fire provide warmth and light, but it can also be used for cooking and as a signal for help. Next is foraging. In a post-apocalyptic world, supermarkets might no longer be an option. Knowing how to identify edible plants and hunt small game can keep you fed when your food stocks run low. Lastly, basic first aid. In emergencies, medical help might not be readily available. From performing CPR to treating wounds, these skills can save your life or the lives of your loved ones. In conclusion, in a world where change is the only constant, staying informed and adaptable is key. The more skills you have, the more adaptable you become. And the more adaptable you are, the better your chances of survival. So stay informed, stay adaptable. Well, that's a wrap, folks. We've covered a lot of ground today. From identifying potential threats to building a secure shelter, we've delved into the essentials of preparing for the apocalypse. This isn't about fostering fear, but about empowering you with the knowledge and tools to face any situation that might come your way. We discussed the importance of assessing potential threats, understanding the specific risks in your area, and maintaining situational awareness. Remember, knowledge is your first line of defense. Then we moved on to creating a survival plan. We emphasized the importance of having a detailed plan, including evacuation routes, meeting points, and communication strategies. Practice makes perfect, so don't forget to run those evacuation drills. Next, we tackled the topic of stockpiling essential supplies. Food, water, medical supplies, tools and equipment, and appropriate clothing are all vital components of your survival kit. Having these supplies on hand could mean the difference between life and death in a crisis situation. Building a secure shelter is another crucial element of survival. We talked about different types of shelters, how to choose a safe location, and how to strengthen your shelter. Your shelter is your sanctuary, a place where you can weather the storm until it passes. We also touched on the topic of self-defense and security. Whether it's learning basic self-defense techniques or setting up a perimeter around your shelter, staying safe is paramount. Lastly, we emphasize the importance of staying informed and adaptable. Staying updated, developing resilience, and learning essential survival skills can be your lifeline in a survival situation. So, what's next? It's time to put this knowledge into action. Start preparing now. Gather your supplies, create a plan, and practice your survival skills. The goal is to stay prepared, not scared. Remember, the time to prepare is now, not when disaster strikes. So, get started, stay prepared, and share this video with others. Until next time, stay safe out there.